You're listening to the West Tech Podcast, powered by West Recruitment.
Let's go! Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast.
It's a specialist recruitment that you chose the best. There's been evidence to prove it, cause they know the West. From the map of Parramatta, that's their home address. It's a platform where you chat about your own success. To keep a promise is a must. Speaking honest, keeping trust. Being modest, we discuss. People want it, we adjust. It's all genuine, real, share and then feel. West Tech connects, respects ideals.
You need the right team, the right piece, and we can find leads like these. We keep it timely and high speed. Keep up with IT and life's needs. So if it's candid conversation, we're to chat, or expanded information to unpack. The brand is contemplation, it's a fact. At West Tech can tell you where it's at. Let's go! Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast.
Hi, welcome to the next episode of the West Tech Podcast. I'm sitting here today with my right-hand man, Sam King. Sam, how you going?
Really good. Thanks, Dean.
Fantastic. Today we're going to be talking about how to stand out in the crowd, which is obviously going to be very helpful for job seekers. There's a lot of people applying for roles at the moment. I'm sure there's a lot of frustrated job seekers that just aren't getting the cut through that they're looking for. So hopefully we're going to talk through what tips are working and what people are doing successfully, and you can apply that to your own search and hopefully land the role you want. Sam,
all right.
Excellent, mate. How have you been?
Yeah, busy. Yeah, really busy. Yeah, thanks.
That's such a recruiter's answer, isn't it?
It is,
always busy, mate. Always walking fast,
That's
talking loud. I think, covering off today, seeing the market where it is at the moment, there is just so many applicants for jobs that, in the skill shortage we weren't having, and now we're finding for a role, we're getting hundreds and hundreds of applicants for each job, and it must be really frustrating for candidates that are suitably qualified but just aren't getting the cut through or the callbacks or landing the roles that they could rightly perform.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to cover off today is just talk about some things that people do well and where the market is, and basically help people or guide them on their search. And I've written some notes down here today, and I'd be really interested to get your thoughts on this. But I've broken this down into basically a 5-prong approach, and it's not just about sending your CVs to jobs that are active. I think you need to be a little bit more holistic in the way you approach job search in the current market. So the ways I've broken it down is obviously your CV is critical. People make judgments on that. Seek.
Yeah.
Job boards, LinkedIn, network. And when I say network, it's not IT networks, it's your network.
Yeah.
And recruiters, and how to deal with people like us and engage with us.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that, Tim?
Yeah, quite similar. 3 for me: CV, online presence, and in person. So really simple, really stripping it back to basics. Sounds really obvious, but within those remits, we can break down, or I can break down what I think is important within those 3 areas to show how you can actually really stand out from other applicants out there. Yeah.
And it is a noisy market at the moment.
Yeah, it's noisy.
And what we're finding is that for a particular role, there might be 5 or 6 requirements, and unless you meet all 5, you generally don't even get a look in. Now, you can't be everything to everybody in your job search. It's just physically impossible. So, Sam, if you're a candidate looking for work, I think the first place you need to start to look at is knowing what you want.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds very holistic. I work in IT, I'm a developer, I'm a project manager or a program director, or, that's what I do.
Yeah.
There are some roles that, you can perform that might go under a slightly different job title. Some people make the mistake of only searching the job title that they've done.
Yeah.
That role might be known as something else in some other industries or whatnot, like for example, software engineers, software developers.
Yeah.
Some people call them consultants.
Yeah.
There's all these little different variants, but knowing what you want and knowing what you're good at, that you can offer an employer, hey, I'm really good at X, this is the roles I want to go for. And if you can talk to that subject really well, and your CV and everything aligns to that, then you're going to get traction.
Yep, that's interesting, because one of the first things that I've written down is don't be a jack of all trades, because I really think that the misconception is if I can do a bit of everything, I will get a look in on everything. Whereas actually, conversely, the opposite is true. You need to be really specific and watertight on exactly where you're pitching yourself, and that might change from role to role because of the reason that you just said different companies have different titles. But depending on what that is, you want to be really nailed down as to specifically what you do. Otherwise, people won't know. And the reason they won't know is because not everyone is necessarily qualified to review and look through a CV, and they might not know what that title is. So you have to be really black and white with it. And it sounds really it's obvious to yourself, but you have to be sort of obvious and spell that out, I think, to get noticed. So you're defined in that sense.
You're 100% right. And we see, it sounds basic to us, but you can imagine when you start a job search, especially if you haven't been looking for a long time, you sit there with that blank piece of paper and you've got to put a CV together and you're like, where do I start? What do people want to know? And I think that leads in nicely to the discussion around CVs. There's advice out there that your CV should be only 1 or 2 pages or one page. I think that's insane. That is insane. How do you...
Possible.
If you are good at what you do and you have done it for any period of time, how do you squeeze all that into a page?
Well, you don't. There is the argument, it can't be too long. And obviously it's probably important to highlight that we're just talking about our market here, so it's obviously going to be different for grads who
don't have experience.
So if we're talking about tech or IT and we're talking about that stream, then you could go pages and pages about a project and a but that's what the interview's for. So you're right, 2 pages is impossible for let's say a program manager or IT project manager who's got 20 years experience. The trick is, how are you articulating that, and how are you the skill you need is to written communication to make it succinct enough to be not necessarily within 2 pages, but I don't know what the typical, a 10-page CV is quite common.
Yeah, I don't think it's the body. I think it's how easy the information is to sort through. Yeah. So some people write it like a story and they're just impossible to read.
And keep adding and adding every single job. And it's
it just doesn't work. I think succinct and crisp are the 2 words that come to mind when you want to see a CV. It has to be factual. Remove any emotional language out of it. Like, you know, what's one of your achievements? Oh, well, when I joined the team, they were really unhappy, and when I left, everyone was really happy. It's like, well, how do you quantify that?
Yeah.
If it's not factual and quantifiable, you can't have it there. Like, maybe in a reference that might come out, but that's not what you have in a CV. So I think a CV, a few things, it needs to be in chronological order.
Yeah.
So what you're doing most recently needs to be at the top.
Yeah.
I think it needs to describe what the company is you're working within, so people get a feel for the industry, the size, or the complexity of the business. Only 1 or 2 lines, not a huge spiel. Doesn't have to be the blurb from Wikipedia or off their about us on the internet, on their webpage. I think it also needs to have a good amount of detail about what the role was that you were there to do. Avoid language like very high level, like very, very broad brush statements. I think it's be very succinct and specific about what your job was. I sat within this division and my role was to oversee X or to deliver said project. The responsibilities and tasks, list the most complex at the top and then the least down the bottom. Otherwise, there's a psychological thing that if you see the least or the menial tasks at the top, people assume you did more of those than you did the ones at the bottom. So I would definitely list it that way. Include your achievements. Now, achievements are very, very open to interpretation.
How do you define success? Yeah, exactly.
Some roles were set up that you can achieve great things, and others are just keeping the lights on was enough.
Firefighting. How often do we see that? Taking over a project that was in trouble and then
delivering it.
Delivering.
I think, an achievement to me is where you've delivered something that's been business changing or had an impact on how the business operates, where you've saved time, you've saved money.
So you're being too wishy-washy and just putting a job spec. I've seen this where people have copy and pasted a job spec for their role, and that's, for 1, it's lazy, and 2, it's probably inaccurate for what you've done, and 3, it's just super generic. Like, how do we determine what your role was and impact within the business? So I normally advise people on the STAR format: situation, task, action, result. So what was the lay of the land? What were you brought in to do? Or how did you do it? And what was the impact of that on the business? And normally for a CV, you're right about taking the emotional. Let's talk facts, talk figures, talk the impact on the wider business. What was the result? It might be even taking it out of IT. Was a campaign successful? Did you generate revenue? Did you hire more staff? Like all these sorts of different quantifiable components, and then we can go at a glance, literally within seconds. You just experienced recruitment professionals will be able to just instantly see, and then they're on the phone to you within 20 seconds because you've already spelled out quite nicely what you've done, and then you talk about it further.
I love the copy and paste from the job spec when it's additional ad hoc tasks as required. That shouldn't be on your CV.
No,
anywhere.
No, never. And also repeating what you've done, because more often than not, you're going to be doing a similar role or within that world over many, many years. But if you're just repeating the same bullet points, I've seen that before as well. It's just the same sentences. That doesn't tell us anything. Why is it in there? You're just taking up paper space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think a good CV will read well, outlay accurately what you've done, and also too what skills you can deliver. And I always sort of advise people, if you do need to reduce your CV, don't reduce it from the role you're doing most recently. Reduce it from the ones when you were fresh out of high school or at the back of your CV, or what you want to include. So I think once that looks good, fancy fonts, pictures, all of that stuff doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter.
And that's one of the things I wanted to address, because when we talk about standing out, I think people think of the visual, and it makes no difference. It's the content of what you've done. I would imagine that every single recruitment company, ones I've worked for, they're going to put it into their own format anyway, and it's all going to be the same. It literally makes no difference.
So I guess it's not a trade secret to say that when a recruiter looks for a CV, they look at if they can use that or not. They're not going to critique your CV as to how good it is or bad. It's either can I use this or can't I? Is this fit for the job or not? And then it's going to be tick or flicked.
Unless maybe in the graphic design business, which we're not. So,
absolutely. The busier the CV, the more it hurts my head. So I'd rather just see the information. And you're right, content's king.
Yeah, bullet points, succinct, chronological, and again, obvious. But if you've been in a job 3 months, don't write the same amount of information as if you've been in a job for 3 years. It just doesn't make sense. No matter how big you feel that achievement was, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
you're right. They need to read comparatively for where you spend your time, so tenure is important.
You're listening to West Talks Tech, where we give you a recruiter's insights into our world, with the aim of helping you reach your career or hiring goals. Remember to like, share and subscribe.
Check the West Tech Podcast.
So moving on, the next thing I'd like to talk about is Seek. And obviously everybody knows Seek's the major job board in Australia for pretty much every white-collar role. It's the go-to, but what a lot of people don't know is the talent search function that we have access to. And just to sort of give a bit of an overview of that. So Seek has a function where a candidate or a prospective job seeker can save their CV to the cloud. And what that allows them to do is to see a job that they like and easily apply for it through their phone or handheld device. Because the CV is already there, they just hit a button, it all sucks through and it detaches, and they can apply very easily, because people don't look for jobs on PCs anymore. They do it on their phone, generally to and from work or from home or whatnot. So that information is effectively its own database, and they've monetised that to give recruiters and businesses access to that to search for people that aren't necessarily applying on the jobs, but might be suited. So it might be more of a proactive, hey, you've got the right skills, download the CV, the candidate will get an alert saying your CV has been accessed by someone at X business. And then they might reach out to have a discussion. So I think a couple of points about that, just from our side of things, is that yes, we can have a look at your CV. We can identify if it might be worth having a discussion. If you've updated it recently, that stands out for us, because that generally says that you're probably looking for a job when you're finished up, or you're about to finish up, or you just might hate where you're at,
unhappy,
and just time to go. So we can search by that and rank them. And prioritise or sort. So
there is a function, the last updated function that we see as a drop down tab.
So I think having your CV there allows you to be found, and it means if you miss a job, if that recruiter has access to that, you might still be included in that. Anyway, but that's obviously one part of that.
I've got a question on that, actually.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, what do you feel about buzzwords to get to the top of the search algorithm? Because a lot of people think and I haven't really done this so much, but so in tech-heavy roles, a lot of people think if I put SQL 100 times, I'm going to come to the top, and I think they might do. It depends what you're searching on.
That's a lot of people do that. Even like Marketplace and eBay, they put if you look for a certain topic, they'll go what the actual thing is, so it comes up in that search as well, and it games the system. When we look at your CV, it'll be seen, but it won't be picked up because it's like it's not what we want. We can see it for what it is. So I would definitely suggest don't do that, and don't put words in there that you're not really.
So updating your CV is enough to get found. Yeah.
If it's accurate and has enough information, we'll find it. We can search by words.
And we're searching every day, I think, aren't we? On Seek?
Living it. So I don't think that's exclusive to us. I think a lot of people in the industry do that.
Yeah, agreed.
So moving on, LinkedIn profile. We can talk for hours on this.
Yeah, we could. Interesting. Because LinkedIn is a CV, right? Or isn't it?
Well, that's debatable. Is it an electronic business card? Is it a CV? Because it's not really, or is it a genuine networking tool?
Well, it should. That's in theory. It should be in practice, it should be a networking tool. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. Here's a snapshot of what I do. So my take on it is that it's a snapshot of what you do, and there's no reason why you should have to put warts and all everything you've done on there. And actually, a lot of people won't. And the reason they won't is because people are going to embellish what they've done on their CV. So it's really easy to call someone out, and that will
Don't be
I don't care what you say. That you are going to LinkedIn probably doesn't remove that, but it's kind of more transparent. So
I think there's a bit of a filter there, though. You're right. Like, how many times have you seen someone that you've worked with put a CV out and they put that they did a certain role? Like, did not do that job. You weren't there for that period of time.
Yeah, job titles, everything. What I'll search a lot on job titles and industry experience, certainly in this market, because that's what our clients are asking for. And normally with a job title, that's enough to potentially warrant picking up the phone or dropping a message. It's not as it's not as accurate as like a CV, but in terms of what we're talking about, just getting noticed, I think if you're keeping that up to date, that's going to be really helpful. A picture is worth 1,000 words. It's kind of, I don't like that, but people, it's not an unknown fact that will get more hits.
It's statistics are out there. If you have a photo smiling, you're over 80% more likely to get to have engagement, direct contact from someone. And I think in the world where a lot of social media has bots and fake profiles and this and that, you need to come across as like a real person and genuine and authentic.
A professional as well. And this is interesting in terms of standing out. Don't stand out for the wrong reasons. And it doesn't happen a lot, but there are the wrong photos on LinkedIn. And that could be the difference between a call or not.
Absolutely.
That's just how we're wired as humans, to make like micro signals and assumptions like that. So, bear it in mind.
It is on a higher level. People are trying to fit you into a box, whether the box is right for this job or not. So I think it's definitely important to have the image that you want out there has to be curated by you, and it has to line up with yourself. So when people meet you, there's continuity there.
Yeah, and just keep it professional. Just kind of,
absolutely. Not straight-laced suit and tie, but definitely... just you. And you. Appropriate is probably the right word.
Yeah.
So I think the information you need to have in your LinkedIn profile should definitely be what you're doing, where you are, maybe some skills. There is a skills tab where you can populate skills.
Yeah. Again,
another database that recruiters have and companies have direct access to or paid access to, where they can search by certain skills, especially if they're niche.
Yep. I'd put those in because LinkedIn is becoming more dependent on AI, which for better or for worse, that's what it's doing. And I've got thoughts on that as well. But if you've put your key skills in the tab, then it's just another way. It's just another good function that people can search.
And it is about being found, as opposed to you can put yourself out there. They've got a really good job board. You can apply to jobs. When you apply to a job, your profile comes up. They can have a look at your profile. They'll line up your CV versus your profile. Yeah. If you apply through Seek or another job board, generally on the other screen, we'll have your LinkedIn profile up. We'll see if it lines up, especially the dates, things like that.
It's just a faster route to connection. It's just less roadblocks to get speaking with someone, whether that's a HR manager, whether that's a hiring manager, whether that's a recruiter. Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that LinkedIn probably serves a few different purposes, yeah, and as well as, yes, it's a networking tool, it's a job board,
yeah,
it's a CV.
I think you have a presence, and that's not to say be active and be blogging every day or anything like that, but just a presence as an aid in your application process or your work process, because it is the number one platform that people will be dependent on. And hiring managers will search on your LinkedIn when you send their CV anyway to cross-reference.
And Facebook.
Oh, do they do that? Yeah,
absolutely. They want to make sure that
I'm not on Facebook. So
no, but if a lot of hiring, nearly everyone you talk to, they will search Facebook to see what your profile is. If it's a public profile, don't have photos of you doing illegal things there, or doing things you shouldn't. Because if it doesn't line up and your image is bad, it might be who you are on weekends, but there's some things that needs to be kept on the down low, especially if you're looking for work. And I've seen people. I've had offers rescinded because everything was completely kosher the whole way through the process, perfect for the job. Had like a politically incorrect statement up on Facebook that would have been very jarring and borderline, highly inappropriate.
I know someone that got fired for that.
Yeah. Well, it'll absolutely cost you a job if they don't know you and you haven't got your foot in the door. So I'd be very conscious of that. What you put out in the universe. But as far as like your LinkedIn goes, make sure it lines up.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. What's interesting is ways to introduce yourself via LinkedIn, because that's probably the easier way to do it. So I don't know if this links in with everything really. And this is again talking about getting noticed. And this, I don't think this is controversial, but this is going to go down the cover letter route. And maybe this is for a different podcast as well. Introducing yourself on LinkedIn by saying, "Hi, I've got 15 years experience. Hi, I've got 20 years." That's not going to make you stand out.
It's not going to move the needle.
It's not going to move the needle at all. And a long intro message or a long cover letter to us, again, not talking about grads, and I'm not necessarily talking about before, because we'll do that when we introduce your CV. We know how to do that. It's not going to get read.
I'll tell you what I find a little bit backwards is when people add you. You might be advertising for a role, and they'll add you through LinkedIn. And you go, okay, they're in my market. Yeah, definitely we'll connect. And they go, oh, I just so happened to come across this role that I want to apply on. It's like, well, why haven't you applied on it? It's not like you're going to get through the back door. Like, if you're right for the role, let's have a chat. But if you apply on the job, it's not. You're not circumventing any process. It's like, be upfront about what you want.
Be upfront.
Be purposeful, like in your contact. Hi, I'm reaching out to you because I've seen this job. I want to connect. If this one's not right, the next one might be. Love to, And that to me, I'm like, great.
Yeah, but my advice, and I'm saying this to save people time and effort, do not go to the bother or the worry of writing 5 paragraphs of what you're about in your introduction message or the email or in a cover letter. It just will not get read. That is what the CV is for. Hey, seeing this, would be great to connect, CV for review.
Yep.
I'm not saying, again, different for hiring managers maybe, but we're just going to be looking in our market for the relevant experience.
I think it's too open to opinion and thoughts and feelings and emotion. I think I'm right for this because it's like there's a very think and I see this. It's like, well, no, you're not acting on enough information. Let's be factual. We've asked for X, Y, and Z, and you don't have that. So you're not. It doesn't matter how close you think you can, or I'm a fast learner. It's not why people are going to pay a recruiter a fee. Direct businesses maybe might have different
different roles, different approach. Yeah, absolutely. But so, we've been given a brief from a client. We have to stick to that brief, otherwise we're not doing our job. But,
and that's how we derive income. So we need to get that right. And that's just the cold hard facts of how we operate. The next one, they're talking about networks, and it's very interesting because a lot of people don't make time for networking, especially in technology. They're like, well, no, it's not really part of my job. It's like, well, it's not part of your job. But those that do networking really well and are personable and connect with people that they can learn from and give to and build a community, they're the ones that their careers tend to go a lot further, and also B, they're never out of work.
Mate, look at any person who's in one of the big four or the consulting. When you get to partner, you're not doing, even if you're coming in as a techie or whatever, you're in a sales role. And the reason for that is because they're the softest, they know the softer skills, and they can work that. They have the commercial mindset as well as the technical mindset as well. And that methodology would apply, I would say, in any job, in any walk of life, because one needs to sell themselves at some point. And it just bleeds into that really as well. So
have you heard, I don't know how to take the saying, your network is your net worth. Have you heard that?
No.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And I probably wouldn't say it's that extreme, but I can absolutely say, yeah, definitely, your network is fantastic. So to rely only on a job board, or to rely only on roles you're applying to that are active and live, you're just missing out a trick, because you might know people that aren't advertising for a role but have a need for someone like yourself. And if you're in touch with them, hey, you're looking for work, hey, we need that in this business. Can you come across or do some work with us, or do you want to join us or have a chat? You'd be surprised how conversations lead to roles. And it's like, talking to recruiters, applying on jobs, being on LinkedIn, being active, putting your profile out there, enhancing your profile, posting, having a social media presence. All of these, they are all encompassing, and they work into a multi-pronged approach to secure a role. And there's no one area that a job needs to come from. It could come from anywhere, but you have to put yourself out there in these areas to maximise your chances.
And everyone's time is precious. Like there's all of that. People have got families and lives and things like that. But if we're talking about standing out and in this market, if your priority is to get a job, then that is one of the routes in which to do that. If you've got your CV, that's one dimension. If a phone call, that's 2 dimension. If you want to be like a 3-dimensional, meet in person where you can, when it's relevant, get to events, make sure you're putting yourself out there. Again, having a presence and
being part of a community.
It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but I don't know. I feel like networking it's a different landscape now. From that, it's not just going to an event, and it's not like going to seminars. It's not seminars, or it's not just like things. It's like they can actually be really engaging and interactive, and we see like things come from it as well. And when you see the dots are connected as a result of that, that's actually really good. And a lot of people are different in person than what their CV suggests, and because for whatever reason they just can't write a good CV, or they don't know how to do it, and then you text them up. I'm so happy, so relieved that we got that FaceTime, because now we know confidently, when our client says, who have you got for us? And you go, you need to meet this person, they're so good in person, like so on and so forth. So.
I've just finalised a CIO role where on paper the candidate looked like a sysadmin person, and they go, why are you sending us this person? Look, I'm justifying the fee.
Yeah.
I've met this guy, he's way better than his CV.
Yeah.
Why did you send me the CV? Look, just trust me, please. And I hate saying that. It's very, salesy and a bit cheesy. But I'm like, look, I met him and he's absolutely right for your role.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to him, the more I'm convinced. But I said, look, you need to be convinced. Could you meet them? And they went, yeah, okay. Yeah. He ended up getting the job.
Yeah.
And the guys he beat had such more. Their CVs were comprehensive. They outlined everything. And he said, I haven't put a CV together in 8 years. And I said, look, to be honest, when you've got the time, you need to really work on this, because it sells yourself so short.
Yeah.
No projects delivered, nothing about the businesses. Talking to him for 2-3 minutes over a phone call, I was like, this is not the guy that's CV I've got in front of me, because he has done so much more than that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, underselling on the CV.
Hugely. Yeah. Conversely, how many times have you met someone that you think, wow, this person's got some huge accomplishments, a great level of pedigree, and you talk them through it and you realise your business did that. You didn't do that. That doesn't belong on your CV. This is you. This is your...
Yeah, we did this. Okay, what did you do?
Yeah, or flat out lies and embellishments. Like, for a start, that didn't happen in that business because I recruited for them, or I know people out of there, or whatever it might be. Like, the market's too small to fib your way into a job. But
also, it's no one's fault, because if you haven't had to look for a job in 10 years, why are you going to be an expert at writing a CV, or where do you start?
And there's so much conflicting advice out there, because you've got our placement companies with their own style and ways of doing things, and some are really, really good and will help you get that job, and others are just, their information is just so misleading. It's just so out of touch with the market. It makes it hard.
The thing is with networking, though, in person, is it's going to teach you, it's going to give you interview practice without having interview practice, because you're going to start verbalising what you do more, and you're just going to get into that rhythm and that practice of talking to people about what you do, because you don't do that at home with your friends who sits there with their mates around the pub going, so in the first 6 months it's like you don't do that, so you're probably not used to verbalising what you do, but networking, the byproduct of that is you're all in the same sort of community.
So you don't talk about your 90-day plan at work with your mates?
I'm afraid not. No, as much as I'd love to hear. I will do though. That's what I'm up to this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Mate, don't let me hold you back.
Yeah.
On the West Tech podcast, we sit down with IT leaders who are doing great things and learn about their journey to help you on yours. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Check the West Tech podcast.
It's but you're right. I think, and also too, leveraging your networks. Like some people are so afraid to ask for, hey, I know you're connected with this person. I really want to work in that business. Like, is there any way you can get us across? I play golf. I sit next to them. Yeah, we're having lunch together. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're a good guy. Of course I can make that happen. You'd be surprised how many doors will open if you just ask. I didn't even know you were looking. Like, Sam, you should have told me. Absolutely. I help this guy with certain things. I'd love to sort of sit and have a discussion with you. So
100%. That's actually a really good point, because the way people are getting jobs in this market is obviously, like, what I'm seeing is through their network, because statistically, the chance of you getting a job from just applying, if you're one of 100, 300,
600,
there you go, is low. So you utilise your network, and don't worry. Like, flip it around. If someone came to you and asked for your help, it's very unlikely that the person asking for your help is someone you don't get on with. Like, the reason they're asking you for help is there's a comfort level, whether that's you haven't spoken to each other 10 years, 1 year.
Trust and respect.
There's a trust and respect. There are respect. So don't think of what it would be the other way. Like, people don't mind. The worst that could happen is they don't get back to you, and then you can say you've tried, and the best that can happen is you get a job because you've been proactive.
Absolutely. And people want to help their friends.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing I've learned, and this is growing up, I always assumed the person that was the most qualified was the one that went the furthest, and the real world is just so removed from that.
Be the opposite.
It's the best networked person that sees get degrees.
Yeah.
The most networked person that doesn't have to be the most academic or have the most, that they're well liked, and they know how to work with people and have great soft skills and high level of emotional intelligence. Yeah. They're the ones that take off.
Where do you draw the line between, as a recruiter, like, what if people start to think they're getting on your nerves? Because I get people say, sorry to call you again, and applying for every single job out there. Because my advice would be, this is going back a bit, but you don't want to be applying for every single job that's applied with that agency. You're just going to be, because then you'll
burn your bridges. Yeah.
Maybe, because it's like, why are you applying for every single job? But is there a rule on that? I don't know.
What do they say? Desperation's a stinky cologne.
Yeah,
and you never want to be that. You might be desperate, and the thing is, as recruiters, we do have a level of empathy. Like, you've got bills,
of course.
You need to get back to work, but also too, like, as much as I'd love to help you, my job is to find the best candidate for this role. And if I can help, absolutely, I'll work with you. But also too, like, you're right. You're not fit for, if you know what the criteria is. If you don't meet it, then I can't really shoehorn you in, because it's just there's candidates that are going to fit that brief, that are going to get that job. Yeah. And if there is a way where we can utilise your skills and experience, absolutely, because that's how we earn money, right? Like, if we can help you, then obviously that advances our business. So, but you're right, like, talking every day, it doesn't help, because if anything, like, our days are busy, we've got multiple things on the go. But I think it's our duty to tell a prospective candidate, look, if you want to have a discussion, and I always tell people, I'm way better over phone than email, because I get hundreds of emails. So I'd rather turn around and say, look, if you see something and it's fitting, or you want to pick my brains about it, and you'd know yourself day to day, someone will ring me, hey, Dan, I've seen this role, Sam's advertising, it's this and this. I think they're good. My benefit to you, Sam, would be to go, well, I know them. They actually are really good. You need to probably have a discussion with them. And 9 times out of 10, you go, well, I'll interview them, but I already know that they're vetted by yourself, and you say they're good, and we work together. We share our knowledge, and we go, okay, it makes our lives easier. So it's a really good way of doing things, but also too, we're approachable, and you need to be approachable. If you're in the people game, you need to be a people person. So, but don't be misleading. Don't be dishonest, and sort of lead people on. It's like, no, this is what I can do. I can help you with this, or no, I can't. This isn't right for. And also too, for us, like lining up the recruiters that can give you constructive, direct feedback. And whether it's critical or not critical, or just be have a really good dialogue with it. You know where you stand.
I think it's more just be conscious of what jobs you're applying for, and yes, there's a level of, you need to have a job, but in these sorts of markets, just be, if you're applying to every single job at every single salary, it probably doesn't look good, because it just kind of something just
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
And you'll be seen as someone that'll take anything, not the right thing.
Especially if that lands in a company's inbox more than once from different sources, and
Absolutely.
then you are a bit.
Yeah, you've also, you've cheapened your experience of what you can offer a business because, as I said, you're applying for things that aren't right. It's like, well, is it an attention to detail thing or is it just a desperation thing? And it's not the best way to help yourself land the right role.
Yeah.
Now, while we're talking about recruiters, this is the last piece of the puzzle. I think something we can talk pretty openly on is, how do you engage with recruiters? And my advice is this: there's over 5,000 recruitment agencies in Sydney.
I knew that
in Australia, sorry, and with a vast amount in Sydney.
I think we've got the highest per capita or something like that.
Against the population, ratio. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The thing is, there's not one agency that has a mortgage on the market in the technology sector in, say, for example, Sydney.
Yeah.
My advice is to look for the roles that you want to secure on seek. Go down through the feed and see who's advertising those jobs. There might be 3 or 4 recruiters that absolutely recruit in your space, and they've got a lot of really, really good jobs. They're the people that you need to engage with. Not the person just starting out that's done recruitment for 6 months. You really need to talk to someone that's been in this market for a while, has a good reputation. The work gravitates towards them, and work with that person. Put yourself on their radar, because if you have the right background and you operate in their sphere, then it's going to be beneficial for both of you. It'll be a really good partnership that you can form. Be honest with your recruiter as well. If it's not what you want to do, tell them. We don't get offended. We don't care if it's not right for you. What we do not like is when someone takes something and then backs out of it, or starts a role and then just leaves it because. That's how you burn a recruiter. If you're honest and say, look, I'm not sure, I've got reservations. I think gone are the days, I like to say gone are the days of the pushy recruiter where they shoehorn you into a job and say, you need to take this, otherwise I'll never work with you. Like, I've heard some horror stories from days gone by that the absolute cowboys in the industry have just sort of really leveraged people into jobs that they shouldn't have been in. And it never works out. It's such a short-term play.
Everyone will lose.
Everybody loses. Everybody.
Even sort of backing out, it's not even necessarily for us. It's like, think about that. There's a way to do that. But if people come to you and honestly, like the honesty, we'll work with you, not against you. We'll work with you. Like, if it's not right for you, that's great. We don't care. We'll find you the right thing, or we'll wait for the next thing that comes up. I don't get offended. It's like, if it's not right for you, you have to go there 8 to 10 hours a day, a couple of days a week at the moment. Yeah.
If I don't sit there, I sit here. So I don't care if it's not right for you and it's too far from home. Just tell me. If it's unreasonable, that's fine. Don't say,
tell us what you want.
What we think we want to hear to give you the.
If you can't make an interview, don't worry. If it's a last minute, how many last minute emergencies have you had at 8:30 in the morning? When
they only happen to people interviewing, mate. I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's maybe karma.
Yeah.
But if you can identify and engage with the right recruiters, they're a very powerful ally and a really good part of your strategy to secure a role.
And you know why? Because going back to networking, because at some point the client they were working with has probably been a candidate. So that relationship has been built up. They might not have been, but it's all one big network, right? So they trust us, is my point. So you're not... Ultimately, and this is hopefully, you're working with clients who sort of value you. So they're going to listen to what we say.
I love, one of the favourite parts of this job is when I've placed someone in multiple roles. For me, it's so easy and comfortable to ring a client and say they've worked for me before and done a fantastic job. I can give you a reference now, and I can just tell you they're just not going to let me down. And do you know how comforting that is for an employer just to go, they're a known quantity.
It just carries so much weight.
Absolutely.
So way more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, too, I know how they operate. This is what you're going to get. And generally, the client's like, well, great, if that's what I need here, and that works. And for us, it makes us look like we're really good at our jobs, but also, too, it's such a low-risk play.
Yeah.
We're working with people we know and trust and know they're going to do a good job, or know they're going to try, and good communicators and really easy to work with. That's a dream for us.
It's great, yeah. And it works both ways. We've worked with this client for 5 years, 10 years, such and such. But, in terms of the job seeker, 100%. If we place in multiple roles, and then seeing the career progression, if it's permanent, and then that's always
most recruiters like to take some kudos for helping those people. I don't think
No,
it's not me. I got them in the door. They did the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I think, mate, we've covered off a lot. I think, but if you know someone listening to this is looking for work and they say, okay, I'm doing all of these things consciously, then I think the success is just going to be a byproduct of the process. So and it's just the best way of going about it. So I think just to sort of recap, I think knowing what you want, what your potential offering is to an employer, make sure your CV is well laid out. It doesn't have to be fancy and have graphics. It just has to be descript, tells what you've done at what level, and gives the reader a good amount of information so they can summarise what you've done and what you can bring to the organisation. Job boards, seek talent, saving your profile to seek talent. LinkedIn. How to have a good profile there. Make sure it's professional. Make sure all your other social media lines up. There's nothing unprofessional there. Utilising your networks and engaging with recruiters. Sam, you got anything additionally to add to that?
No, I think in terms of right here, right now, mid 2024, the market globally is in a bit of a rough place. So don't be disheartened, because all of this all you're doing is laying the foundations for when that happens. It'll be overnight. You'll land something. Everyone gets jobs, for the most part. So don't be disheartened. Just keep the relationships open. Stick to it. Like you said, know what you what you want, it'll happen basically. Yeah.
My parting piece of advice is don't look at the numbers or assume. It's very easy to psychologically assume that hundreds of applicants are going to be so much stronger than you and so much better, and that your value is diminished. And my thing is, look, know what you're good at, know what you can deliver, stick to your guns, and just do your best, and everything will work out. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, because I guarantee you, in your mind, they're way scarier than they actually are.
True.
And whilst there are a lot of applicants, there's not a lot of strong applicants. Like we're not sending shortlists of 10 people. That's not what we do. My advice is to don't even waste any energy on that. Just put your best foot forward by doing what you can control, and then everything else will work itself out.
Run your own race, basically. Yeah, agreed.
Sam, thanks very much for sharing your expertise and experience with us on our chat today.
Yeah, good times. And for anyone out there, clients or candidates, job seekers in the tech space in Sydney, get in touch with Dean or I today. Let's have a chat, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Happy to help out. Look forward to seeing you then.
We hope you enjoyed our discussion today. If you like what you hear, please like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode. Check the West Tech Podcast.